The Chill Zone, but I'm David Heller. Donny, I heard that you made a trip to Gainesville this past week, didn't you?
I did, and we're going to get more into that starting right now.
That is correct.
More local, more meaningful. This is News 9.
Yep, it is another week of the Chill Zone. However you get it, we welcome you. Thanks for watching. I'm David Heller, of course, your host. This is
Donny with Scalco.
Yep. And for once, we see you on camera, but under much different circumstances. And that is because Donny is having trouble with his PC. So if for some reason you see his connection drop, we do apologize in advance. That's because he is on mobile. So for once, we see Donny on camera, and you're Donny in your three characters, right?
Yes. Not
Right.
3, 6 of them. There's 3 back here.
Oh, it's 6. Wow. Nice. Interesting.
Just cost a little more to get these characters on the back of my shirt.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. How much did you pay for those for that shirt?
This cost me like around $18. It's still cheaper than buying a pop culture shirt at stores like Hot Topic or Box Lunch. Those cost like $25 to $35.
Yeah. That's crazy. Wow. All right, so we're going to get to the other topics in a moment, but first we do begin with, unfortunately, tragedy in America has struck again. And this time around, it's in Kansas City, where we had another event that happened in Kansas City toward the end of yet another Super Bowl parade for the Kansas City Chiefs. And what we know right now, and this is just a rundown of everybody who may be tuning in. This is, bear in mind, this is as of when Donny and I are recording this. So the numbers may change after this gets released. So obviously, stay tuned to your reliable sources for updated information. But here's what we know right now. And I'm looking this up right now. Right now, as of at least 18 hours ago, 1 dead, at least 21 others injured. We know the one person who was killed was a DJ for a radio station in the Kansas City area. And so far, let's see here. I'm going to pull up the KNBC side and see what we got here in terms of the latest. All right. So we know 22 shooting victims from yesterday's parade in
22,
Kansas City.
yeah.
Yeah, 22. And at least half of the victims are under the age of 16. So, yeah, just Donny, yet another day, another tragedy. And this time around, it's during a Super Bowl parade, of all places. A Super Bowl parade now is marred by, unfortunately, tragedy. Unfortunately. And, yeah. That is all the info I know right now. And like I said, stay tuned to your local sources for updated information, because obviously this info may change by the time we get through recording this, and then it gets published out to YouTube. The information may have changed since, so you may want to stay tuned for the latest. Next up, we got small movement, Donnie, towards the SEC going towards a 9-game schedule in football, not for this year, not for next year, but for 2026.
They're pretty much going to announce the 2025 opponents soon.
Yep. And then for 2026, we don't know what that looks like. So, what do you think in terms of? Okay, so let's assume in 2026 we go to a 9-game schedule. Who do you believe that Florida's 3 main games are going to be in terms of who will Florida play in terms of the 3 teams that will be on the schedule, perhaps permanently when we potentially go to a 9-game schedule in 26?
I think the permanent ones are going to include Oklahoma.
Ooh. That's interesting.
Georgia and LSU.
I kind of get Georgia. I mean, Georgia is your biggest rival anyway, and it's an annual game that's been played every year for like forever. They're in Jacksonville, so I do kind of get Georgia. LSU is a bit interesting. Oklahoma, I find a lot more interesting. I really do.
Yeah, they've played against each other recently a lot.
Oh yeah, that's true. And I actually didn't know that because I thought the most recent time my Sooners played against your Gators was that 09 national championship game when Tebow was the quarterback there in Gainesville. So, didn't know that. Speaking of my Sooners, my thought process was that I would say, for me, Texas, of course, because that's the annual game that we do every year in Dallas. And then A&M. And then I left the third opponent a question mark because I was thinking, okay, it could be Florida, like you mentioned, but it could be Arkansas, which kind of makes a lot more sense because Fayetteville's not that far of a drive. And, people who live in Tulsa that root for the Sooners, they don't have to make that far of a drive down Highway 412 to Fayetteville for an OU Arkansas game. And then the third one that I'm kind of toying with as well, and it's a team that we're going to be playing against this year for our first year in the SEC, Missouri, in Columbia. So, we'll see what happens there. In terms of your Gators, Donnie, I wrote down Georgia, which you and I agreed on there. But then I wrote down Kentucky because, yeah, I get it. Kentucky has been whooping y'all's, what now for the past, few years. And then third one, to me, I was thinking maybe Tennessee, maybe Alabama, maybe LSU, and maybe South Carolina, the Gamecocks. So we'll see what happens. But I think my thought process is also, speaking of Kentucky, that with the SEC going to a 9-game schedule potentially beginning in 26, this would mean that some of the rivalry games, especially the interconference ones, like Florida State, and the Kentucky Louisville, they may be going away starting in 2026. Now, we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure if those will be going away because we don't know if the SEC will go to a 9-game schedule or not. But there is a possibility that those such rivalry games could be going away starting in 2026 due to the SEC's 9-game schedule. So, something to keep an eye on. All right. Next up, it's Of course, as per usual, for the last few episodes, we're going to continue with this. Are we doing the same topic as the last one for your upcoming Song Stories episode, Donny?
Yeah, it's for John Mellencamp. I got another song. It's going to be on there.
Okay. Let's do a preview of that then.
ROCK in the USA is subtitled A Salute to 60s Rock. And despite Mellencamp's feeling that I don't think people are getting the idea of what the song's about, so I must have not done a very good job, the song became a big hit. It tells the story of how rock and roll emerged in the United States and how those now infamous musicians that were not afraid to take personal risks for the sake of their music became a strong influence on the next generation, including Mellencamp, who sings, "They fill their head full of dreams, turn the world upside down." Growing up, Mellencamp listened to AM radio at a time when the same station would play a mix of styles, exposing him to rock, folk, soul, and R&B at an early age. John Mellencamp released ROCK in the USA in 1985 on his 8th album, Scarecrow. The album peaked at number 2 in the United States with 3 top 10 hit singles, this being the biggest. The overall theme of the album is the decay of I can't even say that, societal foundations in rural America. But this song is a departure from that theme. Far from satirical, Mellencamp intends to portray a mournful USA that has been slowly eaten out from inside by industries that substitute greed for the American dream. But ROCK was so against the grain of this album's emotional profile that Mellencamp almost excluded it from the album.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Wow. And of course, for those people who may be listening to the Song Stories podcast, obviously, Donny, you'll expand a lot more on that when you actually do that episode. So be on the lookout for that. That will be coming out sometime this week, maybe this weekend or next week.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. All right, next up. And for real this time. So last week I kind of got a false start on this, but this week we are talking about it for real. Let's recap your trip to Gainesville for a Florida Gators basketball game. How did it go and what happened there?
Well, that clearly was one great college game I saw. During that game, the Gators were up 48-34 at halftime against LSU.
Yeah.
And they wound up getting ahead as much as 20 points. But LSU came all the way back late in the game, tying it up, almost taking the lead. But with like 48 seconds left, LSU had a chance to get ahead after being down by 1. But Tyrese Samuel got a steal, which pretty much stole the game from the LSU Tigers. It was 11 seconds left, and Gators tried to get a free throw to go up by 3. Couldn't do it. LSU, which means LSU needed a 3 to steal the win from us. And our defense was good enough just to keep them in the inside area to try and tie it, but they couldn't even tie the game either. We got the win 82-80.
82-80 was the final score. And just out of curiosity's sake, where were you sitting at when you went to the game? Were you sitting in the upper deck? Were you sitting in the lower deck?
I was sitting in the upper area.
Upper area.
220, seat 5.
Interesting. Because see, if I was trying to look for you in the stands, if I was happening to watch the game on TV, which I wasn't, but if I was, I probably could have been like, oh, there's Donny. Oh my goodness, there's Donny. But no, probably not because of the way the camera angles are. It probably wouldn't have worked. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you had fun. That's the main thing, and that your Gators came out with a victory over the LSU Tigers, as you said, 82-80. And I think next they play Tennessee or Vanderbilt next week, Donnie. For men's basketball.
The Gators schedule, let's see it.
Yep.
The next game they're playing is against Georgia, which is this Saturday, but it's in Athens.
Yep.
And the 21st, they play against Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Mm-hmm.
And their next home game is February 24th against Vanderbilt. And then the 28th, they play Missouri. Vanderbilt and Missouri are the two worst teams right now in the SEC.
Oh, yes. I watched a little bit of Missouri play this past weekend. Oh, my gosh. They look hot garbage.
LSU's into a garbage team, but they didn't play like garbage when I saw them.
Yeah. Right now, in terms of the USUCs, right now, I would say Missouri gets one right now for men's basketball. So
I think Gators just may send both Vandy and Missouri to the nurse's office.
At least nurse's office, if not maybe the morgue or to the hospital. Like last night with the Auburn South Carolina game, I think South Carolina went to the hospital after what Auburn did to them. 101-61 last night in Auburn.
How many points would you say is a nurse's office worthy in basketball?
At least 30 points. Hospital 40, to the morgue 50.
At best, nurse's office, I'd say, for Vanderbilt and Missouri games.
Yeah. At least nurse's office, but it could be hospital or morgue visits for Missouri. And then not long after that, it's that time of the year, which is the SEC men's basketball tournament, which is going to be held, I think, this year in Nashville. Like it's been.
Yes, it is.
So, definitely looking forward to covering that. And obviously, we will be previewing March Madness coming up the week prior to the NCAA tournament starting. So, there will at least be an episode on that coming up soon when we get to March. Now, no, we are not doing football predictions. We are done with that for a while. We are doing racing predictions. Yes, this coming Sunday, which falls on the anniversary of the tragic passing of Dale Earnhardt, February 18th this year. It is the Daytona 500. And the way I do it with another server that I'm in, another Discord server I'm in, is that we do three things. Driver to win, driver to stay away from, and who is the dark horse for that week. So, all right, Donnie, I'm going to start with you. Who do you have winning the Daytona 500?
Oh, the duel is tonight.
Yep.
And we have Logano and Michael McDowell on the front row. Michael McDowell won the 2021 race.
Yep. That's right.
And Ryan Blaney, the defending series champion, is 18th. Denny Hamlin, let's see where he is, 34th. And he won this Daytona 500 3 times.
Yep. And most recently, he was the last driver to have gone on to win both not only the Clash but also the 500 as well, which was 2016. So he may be the only driver in NASCAR that who has accomplished that feat not once but twice. Denny Hamlin, that is. So there is some history on the line too this week for Denny Hamlin.
Hamlin is not many people have won the 500 4 times. Hamlin may join that field, and he's still trying to complete the Grand Slam of Crown Jewel races. He so far he has the Triple Crown, which is the Daytona 500, the Cookout Southern 500, and the Coke 600.
Yep, that's right. Coke.
The other ones he needs to win are the Brickyard 400 and the Geico 500.
Yep, which is in Talladega for the Geico 500, of course, and then we all know Brickyard 400 is.
But anyway, who do I think is going to win this race?
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely a race where anybody unknown could win it. It happened to Austin Cindric in 2022, and it happened to McDowell in 2021.
Yep.
But in this case, I'm going to go for somebody popular. Give me William Byron.
William Byron as your driver to win. Okay. And if you had to pick a driver that we all should stay away from, who would that be?
Stay away from?
Yep.
I think you should definitely stay away from Hamlin, because you know he's hungry to win his first championship at 43 years old.
Yeah, and he's been known to choke, so that is true. And then, how about your dark horse? I know you have Byron winning, but who might potentially be the dark horse that could, instead of, say, William Byron, may win the 500 instead?
My dark horse, I'm going to go for somebody not in a popular racing group.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, give me Justin Haley.
Ooh, Justin Haley.
I know he won his first race as a part-time driver, and it was shortened by rain. Mm-hmm. But Haley has been known to get close to the front in restrictor plate tracks.
Yep, and
watch out for him.
Yep, and of course, being Daytona, you never know what may happen. So I get that. As for mine, my driver to win is Kyle Larson. I think Hendrick is hungry to get its first Daytona 500 win since Jimmy Johnson did it in 2006, who, by the way, did it while his crew chief, Chad Canals, was suspended for other reasons related to equipment. And so I think Hendrick's hungry to get its first Daytona 500 victory in a long time. My stay away from, I agree with you, Denny Hamlin. And then my dark horse would be, give me Ross Chastain.
Watermelon boy.
Yep. Give me Ross Chastain as my dark horse.
He's been known to smash watermelons when he wins.
Yep, and he may be one of those drivers that may do that at the Daytona 500. So we'll see what happens with that. I, of course, will be watching the 500 and also a little bit of golf too at the same time. I've actually been starting to get into golf a little bit. I'll tell you this. Last week, during the Super Bowl, I was happened to be watching the Waste Management Open at TPC Scottsdale in Arizona. And so, because I was doing that, I ended up missing the first half of the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Yeah, because golf, as we all know, golf tends to overrun into a lot of things. And in this case, it overran into the Super Bowl. And ended up having a playoff, and Taylor won the event in a 2-round playoff. So, and of course, Tiger Woods is going to be coming back this week for the Genesis Invitational. So this week's going to be a lot of stuff going on with the 500. Tiger Woods returning to competition. So it's going to be fun. And then also, let's not forget All-Star Weekend for the NBA in Indianapolis. So it's going to be a lot of stuff going on. And I want to thank everybody for watching this episode. I do appreciate it. I don't know when the next time we're going to do another one because we are in a lull right now where, there's not much happening in the football world. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. And I will see you all soon. Take care, y'all. For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on America Online, the keyword CBS News.